It's the Pine Room, and the show's about to start. No matter who you are, as long as you got a heart, this show's for you, and we're glad you're a part of something bigger than we know. The Pine Room, we're more than just a show.
All right, hello everybody. I got to do it like Job. 105, episode 105, Pine Room podcast here in the Pine Room studios. Matt, Jeff, and Chris holding it down while the fellas are on their way to Huntington or just arriving in Huntington for the big event, the Ignite West Virginia Bridging Innovation Week, where we're competing against 5 other businesses for a share of some capital and some investment in our business. So we're looking forward to seeing how the fellas do tomorrow. And I guess by the time you hear this, we'll either be real happy or real sad or kind of in between. And we'll worry about Coach's well-being because I know he's really going to be stressed out. Do you think Mark Delberg will be pacing the house heavy tomorrow?
He's got sweaty palms already as we talk. Literally sweaty
Jeff,
palms.
Before you got here, Lola stopped in, and I said, well, because she thought the competition was today, and said no, it's tomorrow. And I said we're keeping all the sharp objects and any artillery away. So keep an eye out up there too. I mean, if you're home,
just in case.
Yeah, because
you hear a big explosion.
Yeah,
explosion.
Right.
Or I look in that front window and all I see is feet. That wouldn't be good, right?
No, or just a bunch of blood on the window.
You know what's weird though?
Jeez, I hope Patty escaped okay.
My God. I don't consider it's so weird, and I get it. Like for him doing everything that he's done in his lifetime, from a standpoint of being a coach from A to Z to all these games and things that he has announced and stuff, like he would not, in your picture, would not be the dude that gets nervous.
Because he never really showed nerves like when he was coaching. You're right.
Yeah. So like this is all. I mean, I guess when it comes to obviously his own kids,
right.
Number one, and number two, he's got a truly a vested interest in this business. So
yeah.
I think that's caused. Yeah. So right. I could see the nerve. Not knocking him. He's just not that dude to me.
And things like that are hard anyway, because even if you try to be calm or like, composed, it can sometimes not go as well as you would plan, but you really can't control any of it. So it's in their hands. They presented it last night for Jeff and I. It's a nice presentation, and let's hope that it goes well.
And I saw the picture of them driving Jub and Cooley down there, and Cooley and Jub were both sleeping, but maybe they were just kind of running through their head what they were going to say.
Whatever their note cards.
Right, maybe they really weren't sleeping.
That's it.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had one of those moments? I have one distinctively, but I'm going to ask you guys first. Have you guys ever had one of those moments where you literally fucking shit the bed? You were either supposed to do some sort of presentation or you were supposed, whatever the case might be, did you have literally that's something vivid in your mind where you hands down shit the bed? I'll be honest, I'm a big believer in pressure driving though. Like I'm okay with pressure.
Some people are good at that.
Yeah, 100%.
Some people react well to pressure.
Yeah, and I seem to do much better that way too, because I hate to admit it, but I've been a procrastinator all my life.
So have I.
I mean, with school and even work things, but then once I lock in, it's like I can get so much accomplished. But then once you do it, and if you do it the right way, I still say to myself, why'd you fucking wait so long? Why'd you stress yourself out knowing that you were up against the deadline? You got it done, but I don't know.
I get it. Matt?
No, nothing comes to mind. Obviously, I blew off plenty of tests and plenty of projects until the very last second, many times. But nothing where I impacted anybody else. Because if I was in a group setting, it was a little bit different. I was kind of a little bit more, out in front of it. But no, nothing professionally that I ever was like, oh fuck, I forgot that, or I messed that up, or I missed this, or. I mean, I'm sure there's something, but nothing that was just absolutely it stuck out.
It wasn't devastating to you.
No, at least or it wasn't, or we figured out a way around it somehow. But,
that's nice though.
Yeah, but.
I had that one moment I was supposed to give it. It was during Christmas time. This has been several years back. It was up in Calcutta, Ohio, and it was a big medical practice.
Calcutta. Is that where number one Snyder's got a thing out there, doesn't he, Chris?
Does he?
Calcutta. I remember in the commercial.
He must have 2 locations because he's right up the street from you.
Yeah,
Wintersville and Calcutta.
I didn't actually even know he had one up there.
Yeah,
maybe he doesn't anymore, but. He did.
Which actually would surprise me because the dude does very, very well.
Yeah.
His commercials a little crazy, but Doug, goddamn Dig Doug. But we were supposed to, it was like a big medical practice, probably anywhere between 50 to 70 people. But they told me from the get-go, since it was going to be Christmas, it was going to be very laid back. Well, all of a sudden, like they changed the rules of engagement on the 23rd hour, and I truly did not come as prepared as I should have been because they said it was going to be a relaxed setting. And I had one of those moments, man, when I got up in front of all those people where like I looked out and truly had that, oh fuck, like I'm not prepared for whatever, everybody's all eyes on me, and then I couldn't catch my breath. And it was like, it was a horrible, horrible moment. I'll be honest, I'm not a big believer. I hate fucking when people live life on the whole anxiety and all that bullshit. Right. But I truly had one of those moments where I couldn't fucking circle the wagons and bring it back. And it was as simple as, I'm not going to bore you all today. Have Merry Christmas. I hope you guys have a great day. And that was pretty much my fucking presentation kind of thing. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? There was probably a lot of people in that meeting.
They were happy about it.
Like, fuck, good. Yeah. Let's go. I'm ready to go get into the booze.
What did you think? What were you expecting before? Like
I was up there. I was up there.
Yourself,
pretty much, it was more of a standpoint. Like the original thing was, the reason why I scheduled it was I was going to do a presentation and talk about our products and try to make it business like. But then when they told me for some reason, I wasn't. I guess I didn't anticipate what it was going to be about. It was way more laid back. Way more serious than I thought it was going to be once I got up there.
So you're saying
I misinterpreted everything. Completely misinterpreted everything, and I don't think anybody really noticed or even people cared. But at the end of the day, like it was my one takeaway. Probably in my sales career, like man, oh man, you look fucking bad.
Well, you survived it, Jeff.
Yeah, it's all good.
I mean,
it's all good. Yeah,
you can't complain.
Yeah. And I'm sure those people there probably don't even fucking remember it happened.
They don't care. And it was one of those Christmas events. So you're right, Matt. Probably everybody's like, you know what?
This guy fucking really helped us out.
Boom, get out.
Well, I bet you fucking probably started drinking right after that.
Actually, not. I had to go make some calls in the afternoon. It wasn't my Christmas party. It wasn't
anything. Wait a minute. So you had to go. Oh, so it wasn't your.
It wasn't my. No, I was just something to take advantage of a volume of people. Because they were having a big party. It was an opportunity kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But it is what it is.
Call upon people in mass numbers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Volume game, numbers game.
Well, I'm sure everybody that's a follower of the podcast, since the last time that we recorded, we had massive floods here in Wheeling. So hopefully no one was affected too badly by that, any of our listeners out there. But did a flood impact you fellas at all? Obviously, it impacted me with my work quite a bit, being out of action.
Work-wise, it did for me, just like you. I mean, just because we had so many deliveries out there that secondary roads couldn't get. So we had several customers that just couldn't get their deliveries until, actually I had a few that were normally scheduled for Friday. They didn't ship out till today. So it did wreak some havoc. And I had some customers. I actually talked to a guy down in Marietta today. He's got a drive-through. But he had rain up to the front door, and it never got in his building. But he was closed half a day Thursday, and he was closed until yesterday. So you'd lose 3.5 days of business. Well, just like with you guys, and your volume was huge.
People were waiting at the door to come in, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Jeff, he tell you that. He said it was like.
Honestly, people were just like
they were waiting. Like I couldn't believe it. Like literally 3:58. Yeah, 3:58. There's people in there, and then as I was getting ready to, I was like, got my people settled, and I was there all day Sunday and got it situated, and I'm ready to leave, and there's people just flooding through that door. Going, and I hear the machine start cranking up. Beep, 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 beep. Everything's beeping. People are at the counter betting. I mean, people
came back to normal.
Absolutely, yes, it did, because it was really weird. It was dead quiet in there. You could hear someone talk, and you could hear them at the front door from all the way to back. It was so quiet in there.
Well, Matt, were you there when you guys were shut down? Did you have to go
Wednesday?
There?
No, I couldn't get there. You couldn't get there.
Oh, yeah.
So what happens on Wednesday when that situation is, then I'm assuming Kim and some of the maintenance people and some of them will stay on site. So they just stay in the hotel.
Oh, that makes sense.
To be on site as the problems arise. But once you're off there, you're not getting back unless you got a boat.
Okay. No, because it just when you'd mention how quiet it was, that would just dead be quiet. Really weird if you'd be over there.
Would be eerie.
And it's constant.
Yes. No sound of anything.
Constant sound and chaos.
If that water, if you live over there, which poor Lola, at least she didn't got any water at all, so good for her. But it's so, I don't know how you get in that mindset, but get your vehicle out of harm's way. There's floating cars over there. And then that stadium was a mess, and boy, the smell afterwards. Oh, so
really?
Catfish and just like that hot mud piss smell, all together, and just ew, it's gross. It was just gross. Mud caked everywhere.
Just rivers.
Those panhandle people, man, they're working nonstop. They're over there in 24-hour shifts, just still cleaning up the lots and all the area.
Wow. Here's the dumb question. You may not know this. What is it I guess the deodorizer that a panhandle would use. Like, is it a spray? Is it a what is it? Because at the end, for it to work that efficient, that fast, it's got to be miracle.
No, I don't
shit.
know. They put something in the air vents too.
Is that what they do?
They pump through, but yeah. And actually, our casino floor was pretty safe from all the water. It got into probably the very front door up, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet or so to the bottom of the steps and stuff. But it never got up onto the gaming floor. Because that's why they changed everything to make everything be up elevated. So now you're getting, I mean, if it would have got up to the game floor, I mean, you're looking at 50-some feet of river water. I mean, that's what it would have to be to be able to.
But it's just to put it in context. So, if I'm walking in the front door of your casino, was
water
water
up to like the second step maybe or something.
So your escalators all fucked.
But they've been working. Escalators and elevators are still down. Racing, obviously, the
Jeez.
track is destroyed. It'll have to be completely redone. Resanded and
do
everything.
they have any target date on their?
It just depends on when they could get the materials, the sand and the dirt and all the mixture, and they got to get all that. And then if the weather's got to hold off, well, we had generator power on Sunday, and then we ended up getting main power back, but all the transformers were roasted in they all got covered by water and destroyed. But I don't remember it being. Nothing. Do you guys remember? Because Chris and Jeff, you guys remember the 04, 05 type floods. I feel like we got a lot more rain in that one than we did this one, but maybe not. Didn't it seem like? I mean, it didn't seem like we got that much rain. I think it was more from outside of town, passing through on the river. But I don't know. What do you guys remember about it?
I remember 04 was a shit show. I do remember that.
Yes, it was.
But you know what? Actually, Matt, now I really can't recall. Like if it was
I don't
massive
either.
amounts more or whatever.
Because
what did they say? 4 inches this time, correct?
Yeah.
And what did they say for the other one? Do you know?
I want to say it was at least 6 or 7, but I could be wrong. Because that was from a tropical storm or hurricane that came up and set over top of us.
Yeah.
I think it was Hurricane Katrina, to be honest.
I think it was actually.
It just set over us because I was at West Liberty at the time, and I've never seen West Liberty ever in the stage it was in. Obviously a hill. I mean, it was flooding. The campus was flooding. The roads all the way around, you couldn't get off the hill. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. My dad, who worked there, Dr. McCullough, guys who worked there 30 years to that point, and they'd never seen anything like it. But this one was just a little bit different. The creeks didn't get as high around here, but the river was really high.
They did. It's just weird too to think when you say 4 inches of rain that results in feet and feet of flooding.
Yeah. Right.
Like just 4 inches doesn't seem like that much.
Just 4 inches from everywhere in the world, all coming to you, I guess.
Yeah.
Almost.
But boy,
Jubs gave us a question on the radio the other day about how much natural disasters involve water, and it was like 97% of them involve water or something like that.
Makes sense. But you think about it, you're up on the hill of West Liberty, and everybody talks about, makes fun of, well, if it ever hits this high, but you're like, it's crazy. Like you're still having issues.
It was still like flash flooding. Like it wasn't going to be a sustained flood where you're going to have water like just laying there, but the flash flooding was real. And the roads you could not get. You couldn't. It took us a couple of days. We could only get as far as Bubba's, which wasn't a bad spot.
I was going to say, that's
so
a great spot.
because we literally were in there and there was no power, but they were still selling beer. So you just sit there and you had nothing to do. Bubba's was open, and we just went there, and you could get from back to campus to Bubba's, and that's about it. You couldn't get down. Peters Run and 88 were destroyed. Trees, landslides, and then going out the back way, if you were going to try to go to Washington, PA, it was probably 2 or 3 days before we could get out that way finally. But yeah, it's crazy. Water, it's amazing how destructive Mother Nature can be.
And water is just like so devastating.
It is.
Water is, and
you can't get rid of it. You can't stop it.
And just the power of it, and we hear this warning every year with that. Like, don't test the waters in your car.
Oh,
I mean, well, you were talking about that one car I saw now, and it was a white. It looked like a compact car. It was almost up to the. And I don't know how that happened, but I don't know if it was somewhere in the state that some lady got in her car and tried to drive through it, and it tipped her over. She floated away and drowned. I mean,
it said it only takes like an inch and a quarter to move a small car like underneath of you.
Oh, really?
And then like 4 inches can move like a bus. Or like in just a little bit. Like that's.
But here's the deal. I'm man enough to admit that I'm smart enough to not do it. But I can't sit here and look any one of you in the eye and say that it wouldn't. Like if I know it's not worth your life. But if you have a car, man, that would be a hell of a thing to lose at that point in time. Like you would really question, like, fuck, can I make it? Can I do it? And think about pushing the envelope, I guess is what I'm
I would. I'd be awful with that. So I wouldn't if I was getting to the point. Obviously, if it was too dangerous, but I'm gonna give it a really good chance. Like I'm gonna try my hardest to get through it.
It's a tough thing, man.
You mean like if it's bad, the only way you can really go like
You got an area where it's almost impassable, but you're gonna take the shot or not.
And I want
I'm-
to.
I
is
am.
that the only way you can go to get
Yeah,
to where
like
you need?
here's the thing: it's different though. If I'm gonna get washed out into the main current, and then maybe not. But if I'm just on one of these if I'm on a side street over on the island, then I'm like leaving over there, and I got to get out of there. I'm rolling the dice.
Yeah.
See, and actually, that's a great analogy.
Because I'm not going to get swept out in the main river. I'm not going to deal with raging rapids, but
not Niagara Falls.
No, fuck that. No,
fuck that.
not gonna
I'll roll the
happen.
dice. But hopefully everybody survived the flood okay and are back to normal.
Well, the one thing though, nobody can ever prepare for that. I don't know one person in my life ever that's ever had a drill on how, like if you would not get swept away, but if the water starts taking your car, then it gets up to like your door. Do you panic? How do you try to get out? I mean, if your car's starting, you have no control of it, then you don't have there's no training.
I don't know. That's like
Yeah,
driving
I
off
mean,
of a bridge and
yeah,
falling into
right.
water.
Right.
You just hurry up and roll your window down and jump
Crack
out.
your window open as
Because
fast
you probably
as
won't be
can.
able the pressure from the water. You can't open your
won't,
door.
You won't be able to.
I would. You guys. I hope I'm not in the car with you guys when you want a chance.
Well, what if you were on the Francis Scott Key Bridge in a car and you got knocked down into that thing? Did you have any shot?
God just wanted me dead.
Well, wait a
There's
second.
no hope.
I read something the other day that is, and I'm not sure if it's every car, but your headrest. Your headrest is what
Right, pops
removable.
out.
Come out and
Yeah.
you smash
And
it.
you're supposed to crack the window with that.
Yep.
Like if the pressure becomes so much. Now, granted, Chris, I see the shit ass grin across your face because if you're in a fucking panic, I'm not sure that you're like all of a sudden like, hey,
All
let
right.
me just pull
Here
the
we go.
headrest
You
out.
just
Yeah.
can't just conveniently turn around and just grab it like you're picking up like a
You think you would be very composed during that?
That's what I'm
I
saying.
don't
It would be
know.
tough, man.
Yeah, no,
That's a good
some
point.
people do. I like to think
Fight or
that I would be
flight,
pretty
right?
good at that.
Jeff, you'd be like in the throes of all that. You'd be like, boy, I wish I wasn't standing in front of that crowd up there.
If I had a choice,
Yeah, it doesn't
right?
seem so bad.
It doesn't seem bad at
The
all.
Christmas party fiasco, or I'm gonna be ready to drown if I don't crack this
I know.
window.
Oh, I hope nobody is faced with that because that
Yes,
just seems
that's fucking
terrifying.
scary.
Well, I didn't hear any fatalities, at least around this part.
Actually, I didn't hear any.
I didn't
either.
hear
Anything
anything.
severe. So let's hope it keeps
Yeah, I
going.
mean,
And I didn't hear any fatalities from yesterday's solar eclipse, which had the world stopped. It was literally amazing to see everyone out and wheeling everywhere around. It was kind of, to me, I know, Chris, you got thoughts on it. Jeff, we talked a little bit about it last night. I mean, it was what I expected. Like, I had seen pictures of what it was going to look like.
I agree.
I saw it. It was neat. I mean, I'm not anti-science or anything, so it was cool. But then just move along. It wasn't a big deal. So, what did you think, Chris?
Well, I didn't have the special glasses. And
Okay.
people are like, "Don't you dare look at that." So I had double sunglasses on.
Ooh.
But
Yeah,
just,
right.
There it is, raw dog.
Go
But,
raw.
but before it even hit here, it was like 2:30. I got online or on YouTube, and they had some live broadcasts, and these huge crowds are assembled, and it sounded something like a New Year's Eve thing, and the hosts are on there, and I mean they just were going on and on about it, and then when it finally hit, it might have been in Dallas. And the lady's just like, she was overwhelmed with emotion. Oh, I'm tearing up. And then other
fuck
people.
that.
I don't know
and
about
I'm
that.
like,
Yeah, what's that?
what I said to Matt, I said, I just don't understand the reaction. Now, from what I saw of it, it was cool. It was kind of anticlimactic, if you ask me. I think it's cool, but I mean, yeah, Matt, you're right. It's like,
I mean, and you could see it inching towards, so it
yes,
wasn't like it was some monumental event. You saw what was going to happen. As soon as they got in there in the crescent form, we see what's going to happen here. Nothing really
Now,
more to see.
I'll tell
but
you this.
It's cool. But
The guy I was one of our customers. I was at his store today, and we were talking about it. He was just like shrugging it off like it wasn't a big deal. But he said he has a brother who lives in Virginia, has got an RV, and he drove from Virginia to Cleveland to see that. I guess he's got friends up there, And is that where it was?
Cleveland
like
was a big one, yeah.
Yeah,
Cleveland.
Before the
Northern
Indian
Ohio.
game they had.
Northern Ohio was a big
and
deal.
I'm like that's crazy to me to do something like that. But I was just I think it's a
Some
cool,
people look for a reason to party.
Yeah, honestly.
Well, you know what,
And I'm
I
all
guess I
right with
respect
that.
I definitely
Plus, some
respect
people
that.
thought the world was going to end,
Yeah, that
which
too.
I don't really.
just like
understand.
Y2K, right? We were gonna
Right.
Yeah,
That was,
there's-
Jeff
we're gonna
mentioned
die.
that the other. There was people. Every single business was out on the curb.
Yeah,
So-
I thought it was cool. I just didn't understand just this emotion, and it
Right,
just
right.
like
Yeah.
wow, like goddamn, don't miss this.
Like to me, there was a lot more emotional events that have happened in the world than that. But anyway,
Yeah, it was
I get
kind of
it.
cool. I mean,
Jeff,
man,
what do
it
you
was-
think?
I shared my sentiments yesterday, and it's not even being. It's just my world was completely turned upside down. There was so much fucking communication leading up to it for like the past month. They talked about that we were worried about if we were going to get delivered.
Oh, you told me that Saturday.
We weren't going to get deliveries. They were talking about you couldn't schedule any appointments because they weren't going to have 911 services.
Wow,
like it truly went. I mean, it was.
That does sound like tinfoil hat guy was in
It
charge
was
of
not.
that.
If you want to know the truth, it was kind of nauseating leading up to it. So when it got to the point, I'm not gonna lie, and it's not. And I think it is cool, and I'm not dogging anybody that appreciate it because
Right,
you
right.
appreciate it, good for you guys. But it wore me the fuck out. So when it was time to be
For
over,
no reason, though. For
For no
absolutely no.
reason.
It wasn't like your patients were going to start turning into werewolves or
and-
something.
And the thing about it, and I think I had Delbrook laughing because somebody says, "Hey, do you want to see these? Do you want to see these glasses?" And my exact words like, "Fuck no, I don't want to see your glasses. Like, I just want this thing to be fucking
Be
over.
over.
with.
Be
Just
over.
be over with, man. Done talking about the fucking eclipse."
Oh yeah, and then
Yeah.
people were telling me like, my cat and my dog, like, make sure your dog's inside and shut all the blinds.
Put
Why
the
are people
blinds
so
down and
worried?
everything.
And I'm like,
People are
well,
so-
I've never gone out because my dog will spend a lot of time outside on his leash. I've never gone out and seen him. staring at
Toby's
the-
looking at the stars.
He's never
fucking
staring at the
doesn't
sun.
care.
He's thinking about puppy porn.
He's
There's no-
sniffing
no,
exactly.
come
He's
on.
trying to
Not
find
thinking about the
some
fucking
female's
Olympics.
ass to sniff. Is
That's
what he's
exactly-
looking
yeah,
for.
goddamn.
Yeah.
That's what he's into.
I
And
know.
actually, the other thing is, and I hate the conspiracy theory, but there was a lot of medical community people talking about that the glasses, there was a lot of recalls on the glasses. Even if you had glasses, you shouldn't be looking at. Like, I just
Well-
feel like we just like circle the drain with
So if I have a brain tumor in a few
Exactly,
months, I'll
there you
just
go.
blame
No.
the glasses.
We're-
It
we're
had
all-
to be.
And what is it? It comes back. What I mean, I know that's the big deal. That's
In
the relevance.
44?
Is that what is it? Oh, the 2044.
Yeah.
Really? That's the next one? Jump said in 2090 something.
See, I thought it was down the road too.
Well, there's something in 2044.
Maybe that's not the same exact
Might not
one.
be the
Hell
same
freezes
one.
over.
Yeah.
Hell freezes in 2044.
I'll be fucking 80, man.
Do you imagine though, like all these hundreds of years ago, when people used to talk about the world being like round and the sun orbiting the Earth or the Earth orbiting the sun, and people were like burned at the stake for like believing in this stuff, and now we're all marching outside of the
True.
fucking office,
That's crazy.
off from our offices out onto the corner of the avenue to look up in the air at this fucking thing. So
wild.
we've come a long way in that regard, I guess.
Yeah.
But according to, did you see those morons on? Actually, I can't believe it, Chris, but I actually am going to be on Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar had to correct one of their stupid hosts because the
What'd she say?
girl tried to blame it on global warming,
Yes.
the eclipse.
I just saw
And
the
even
headline.
Whoopi was like, this already happened, and we knew it was going to happen. It wasn't an effect of global warming. Or
How
God.
irresponsible. Honestly, don't get me wrong. I say dumb fucking things every day, all day long. But how irresponsible that you have that type of platform?
Hey,
and
yeah, I
you're
know.
just
Right.
spitting
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
out
It was
your
that
back.
Sunny,
Yeah.
that
That's so
Sunny
gross.
woman.
Sonny Hostin.
Hostin, yeah, she's an idiot.
She's always saying
But-
stupid
but,
shit.
like,
Oh, is that,
that-
the cute blonde? Is that the hot blonde?
She's like the light-skinned black
Yeah,
lady.
yeah.
Different one.
She's not a bad-looking lady, but she's an idiot.
She's got
she's
nothing
an
in her
absolute
fucking
idiot.
head.
There you
She's
go.
a
But
fucking-
it's funny how like
Fair
people
head.
like that want to push that agenda of you, the climate change, global warming.
Before we get into this week's episode, mark your calendars for May 4th this year for the North Atlantic Beer Mile at Waterfront Fest in Wheeling, West Virginia. From live DJs, live band performances, retail vendors, a Kentucky Derby watch party, great food, and great fun, this event kicks off the summer's festival season. From 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., Waterfront Fest is an all-day event that includes the first annual North Atlantic Beer Mile, hosted by us, the Pine Room Studios. Take part in this epic race where competitors are tasked to drink a 10-ounce beer before the first and after each subsequent mile for a total of 4 beers and 4 quarter miles. Runners can participate solo and take on the workload for themselves, or with the help of 3 other friends, you can split the workload and work as a team. We highly encourage crazy and wacky outfits, and being that it's Star Wars Day, the Kentucky Derby, and the day before Cinco de Mayo, why not dress up? Go to waterfronthall.com/fest to register and know that a portion of the proceeds are going to 3 deserving charities in the Ohio Valley: the Road Home Animal Project, Helping Heroes, and Augusta Levy. Get ready for an absolutely epic event, the North Atlantic Beer Mile, May 4th at Waterfront Fest.
I get irritated every day when I turn a television on, but
Well, that's
you
why
can't
I
do
usually-
anything
that's why I
about it.
usually don't.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're right about that.
I mean, it just because I got tired of going to bed pissed off.
But I bet you went to bed happy last night when you saw that the NAIA banned those trans athletes from competing.
Yeah,
25 to nothing. I thought that spoke a lot.
It did speak a lot. I would agree with that. People are starting to wisen up a little
Yeah,
bit.
he said
At the
that
end of-
represents like 83,000 athletes or
Yeah,
something.
it's great.
And,
Yeah, it is great. And at the end of the day, once again, it's not a knock towards whatever you choose to be in life. You know what? If that's you, do you. That's super cool. But at the end of the day, you cannot intermix and let people compete and
You
stuff.
can't cheat people who deserve it out of their opportunities.
It's just not fair. It's not. But once again, if that's the lifestyle you choose, it's no different than us talking about the fact of, I mean, I don't agree with the lifestyle, but if that's the lifestyle you choose,
Right.
I'm not.
It's not going to bother us.
It's
if
not
you
going
do
to
it.
bother me.
It doesn't
I mean,
affect us one bit.
You do you, and if that's what makes you happy, fucking rock on, twisted sister. But at the end of the day, I think it does speak volumes because it's rational thoughts and rational minds that 25 people sitting around and go, that's just not appropriate, and we're going to.
I didn't even know that existed anymore. Rational minds,
Right.
Especially in leadership.
Yeah,
That's,
well,
that's
imagine that.
stunning to me.
well, when I wrote, and I forget, I'll have to look at it here for a minute. But when I saw that, but I don't know, somebody was making a quote on that, or was commenting on the decision, and they were talking about, well, it's a really complex issue, and it was tough to. And I'm like,
It's really not
What
at
what is so hard to? Just, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's all about, competition and fairness to these women. I mean, I don't see what you would have to struggle, whether that's right or wrong.
Well,
Like,
and I agree with that. And I think the other thing is it's truly shortchanges a female. Female's been behind the
No
eight
doubt.
ball for years,
Yeah.
and been treated unfairly and still treated unfairly to this day, whether it be with salaries or the stage isn't big enough in a sporting event. And they're starting to creep up, which should be that way. And then you're going to have this fucking trend knock it back down. Like
A lot of the
makes
same
no sense.
people, Jeff, that were pro women's sports are now the pro in the trans, and they're canceling out their argument to benefit women. They're not helping women at all. Girls are losing opportunities because of this.
And that's not fair. And I know people say, well, life's not fair. That's just not even.
But that's preventable.
It is
Well, most
preventable,
things
yes.
aren't. But that is. There's just no reason in the world anybody could say biological men aren't going to have an advantage competing dressed as a woman in a female sports game. It's just impossible. It's just the way that we're built differently. That's just how it went. And I mean, it's like you said, Jeff. You change who you are. That's your business. But don't start taking chances away from our sisters and nieces and daughters. Like it's terrible. It's just I feel terrible because I've always been a supporter of women's sports.
Yeah.
I've loved them. I've loved women's basketball for a long, long time. I'm glad that that's finally got on a high level stage now with Caitlin Clark. I think it's super cool. And then now we're doing a lot of harm to it by letting these male swimmers that are killing all these state records and these poor girls who aren't making podiums and not getting recruited for college maybe because of it. It's just not right. It's simply not fair.
I can't believe you actually have females out there, in all due respect, that are supporting
I know.
the movement. And to completely
For
remove
your
yourself from the
chances to
fucking
be-
platform.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
it blows. I mean,
You got to sit down and think about it.
Well, I mean, I'm all about supporting certain things, but man, what are you doing? I guess if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, like how are you rationalized with yourself? And like, how can you even say to yourself that this is okay and it's not going to remove me? It's no different than back in the day that everybody thought that, this is a horrible analogy, but like when we started doing when you go to Kroger's and stuff like that, and you had self-bag and stuff like that, everyone's like, it's the greatest thing in the world. But then people started realizing, well, fuck, that's going to take away jobs. It's going to take away the personal side of things. People think about how great it is and then how negative of an effects it has.
It's like the minimum wage getting raised to $20 at some of these fucking places.
Honestly,
guess
same
what?
thing.
Businesses shut down because of that.
Yes.
Good job.
Or
So now
the
you just lost all the employees.
Or the fact of the matter, then we're paying $20 for a hamburger.
Right.
I mean,
and you can see that price affected every day.
You Cheryl and Luke go to Chick-fil-A, the three of you in the drive-thru, and it's $75.
You could go get a steak for that.
I mean, but I guess I'm just so surprised that people are either stubborn or not educated enough to try to validate it, and in return, you're just literally cutting yourself off at the knees.
No, I don't get it.
Women's sports are women's sports. Guys' sports are guys' sports. It's there's enough love to go around for both of them and opportunities for both. So why can't we just keep it the way it's always been?
I mean, the movie Kindergarten Cop kept it pretty simple. Boys have penises,
Right,
girls
right.
have vaginas,
Yeah, that
right?
little kid said it well.
Yeah,
and I did read something that I thought was a really good comment. Someone said, people beat you down about not accepting the trans community. We're supposed to be accepting, and you're supposed to embrace this. But how can you be expected to embrace something and take it in when the person who was born a certain way wasn't even comfortable enough with their own self that they had to actually change who they were? Like, to me, that's not. And again, it's not up to me to judge them individually, but don't be preaching to me that I'm supposed to accept this when those people weren't even proud of who they were as people. Mm-hmm. So,
right.
I mean, you need to believe in yourself from what you are, and that's,
Well, and I had seen, you may have said, I don't know how long, this goes back a ways, when John McEnroe was talking about playing tennis, and even Serena said, I'd get my ass kicked, not just by him, but anybody. And it's true. There's just such a difference between physically. And I got thinking when I was driving, I'm like, well, let's just pretend back in the day when I played basketball, and I just, for whatever, I decided I want to be a girl. But I was allowed to play in girls basketball. I mean, not that I was like 6'5", right? But I would have fucking averaged 50 points a game. Yep. Just because I was a better athlete, bigger and stronger.
Well,
it's fucked up.
Did you just hear? So here's the question: has anybody heard who South Carolina girls play every practice? They bring in a group of dudes that is literally part of the team. Yep. She said that they will get a ring because of their commitment to the team. This and that. They bring in truly a boys basketball team that is part of South Carolina to scrimmage them every night.
Because she admits Pat Summitt was doing this. A lot of people are doing this for years. They understand that if their kids are able to raise up to where they're able to somewhat be able to compete with men, then that's going to only help them when they're playing against women. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it makes sense. You don't bring in another girls' team to practice against. You're practicing against men for a reason because it's supposed to lift your game up. But you're never going to be physically as talented as them. No. But the basketball skills of the girls usually win out in situations like that.
Without a doubt it does.
Which it will. But it still drives those girls and pushes them hard to where they're getting they're getting something more out of their practices than they ever would with just scrimmaging against girls who aren't as good as them or whatever, naturally as talented. But, yeah, it's...
So I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth. So 8th grade year, and poor Luke Doyle, if he listens to this, he'd be so pissed. First of all, it was Corpus Christi basketball when the couple grades above them left, decimated. There was a lot of talent at one point in time, and when that group of kids left, it was decimated. So when we would scrimmage our girls in 7th and 8th grade, our girls would kick our ass. Right. Kick our ass because they were just more talented. They had more talent on the team. Yeah. We didn't have basketball
and if they're
players.
Organized too. If you're getting them to play, I used to make this argument a lot at West Liberty with other athletes there was times where I would practice against the girls team because our coaches would gather up guys that could play, had some sort of basketball sense at all. So I did that. But I told these guys, you think that you're going to take 5 really good football players and beat this girls' basketball team. You're not going to do it because these girls know what they're doing. They know how to screen. They know how to move. They know how to move the ball. They just know basketball. You just can't just put 5 athletes out there and it's going to turn out just because. But, but when you're doing, if it's just physically, if it was just a test of physicalness, they would never be able to beat them. But you got all the other things that go into basketball. It's not just all physical. There's a lot of mental there too. But
I would agree.
And how about South Carolina? Speaking of them, how about Dawn Staley not defending the women?
What did I just saw the link to the headline, and
someone asked her if she thought it was okay if a guy played in D1 girls basketball, and she gave some half-assed
they said she kind of panicked. Or
yeah, she
really
does.
sure.
She gave a long pause. I don't think she wanted to say yeah, but then she tailored her response to basically say, anybody can just be who they want to be, and it was awful. And then someone,
I didn't even know this transpired. When did
it was right up against the Final Four, right right before they played their Final Four game. Not Iowa, but
But why did they have to ask her the fucking questions?
Well, I think it's just with the hot topics of the trans infiltrating women's sports.
No, maybe she. I don't know. I didn't see it. I just wish she'd have said, "Well, we're here to talk about the Final Four."
Well, she could have. I would have rather. Chris, I would have preferred her
time.
answer that like that than try to say like it's basically it's okay.
Yeah, I totally disagree.
But then
with her.
someone said, like, do you think Dawn Staley would be all right if LeBron just decided to be a woman and play in the SEC? Like, come on. Like, no, that's gonna be awful for them. It would not be cool.
See, and Matt, you're not wrong. They're bringing it up because they want something to talk about. They want to try to create a little controversy. But I agree with you. Like, why is it relevant? I don't understand. Like, I'm not coming in this room and don't know you guys, and I'm going to go, hello, fellas, my name is Jeff Doyle.
Right.
I'm a heterosexual male, and I like girls and this and that. Like, I don't understand why we have to platform ourselves. Like, like, a great example is Morgan Freeman talks about, did you ever see that interview that he had with the guy from 60 Minutes? And they started talking about, I think it's African American Month or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, he wanted.
And he pings it back to him and goes, what month do you have? He's like, well, we don't have a month. He goes, well, I don't want a month then either. Like, why is it relevant?
He's got a lot of wise quotes.
He's got a lot of wise quotes.
Especially about fathers and him and Denzel Washington. You watch some of their stuff that's not mainstreamed.
People
really
make it out
stuff.
to be way bigger. The common folk doesn't think about this stuff. Do you have your fucking idiots, or the fact of the matter you're so far left or you're so fucking far right? 100%. Those are the fucking idiots of the world. But the normal person doesn't worry about that person that's walking in and what their preferences are, what color they are. It just, I don't know. So I agree with you.
But
Why is that fucking
I
question?
think that probably got asked. I'm just speculating here because they were at the women's Final Four and they're probably trying to talk about how that should be protected as a women's Final Four, not the women's and trans Final Four. So that's I'm just being devil's advocate for the guy that asked the question.
Right, and I didn't. Right. Did you see like the whole interview?
Yeah, I saw her. Yeah,
I just didn't know.
She took a long pause though. You could tell she was not. She probably had to reevaluate what she really wanted to say. Like was no, the men should play men's sports and women should play women's sports. But she definitely did it a little more diplomatic, which still made people from the other side mad. So.
I think I'll be honest, it actually kind of surprised me because I feel like she's kind of real. And obviously, I don't know Dawn Staley from fucking Adam.
Yeah,
I feel like she is kind of a real person. And maybe I'm wrong about that. But I do think, what do you guys think of her? And I'm not dogging it, I'm asking the question. What do you guys think about her emotion at the end of the game?
I loved it.
In my personal opinion, I understand being emotional because I can only imagine. I've never won a fucking championship, so I can only imagine what the grind is and what it means and how you go fucking undefeated. Like there's got to be like at the end like a decompressor button where you're like, it's over and we did it. But I still think at the end of the day, when you're on that stage, you have to gather yourself a little bit better. In my personal opinion.
You didn't like it?
No, I did. I loved it. But at the end of the day, for fucking 10 minutes, we sat there and fucking dead silence because she couldn't catch her breath. Remember, she's bent over. Yeah. I don't know if you guys.
I just saw the tail end of the game, and then I left. So
no, it took.
I had to
her
go get my money.
It was a big. Yeah.
I had to go get my money.
It was a big show.
Was it too much? Do you think?
Yeah, I think it was, but I think Hurley's an idiot too. I think the way he behaves. God, he's a great coach, but man, he acts like a fucking moron.
We're working on 3 already. You're not even enjoying. 2, like he sits up there. We're already planning for 3.
He's out on the court. I appreciate the heat of the moments type. I mean, I don't care personally. I'm not judging anybody on that kind of stuff. I'm more concerned about the being a decent human being than I am the way you act. I think anybody can act like an idiot here and there. People are gonna do it. But,
in the heat of the moment.
I mean, Caitlin Clark gets criticized for it all the time, but fucking these fucking NBA guys every night do the same fucking stuff. That was another thing I always thought was fine. If the guys are really good or the girls are really good, and they want to talk a little smack, they earned it. In my opinion. Whereas if you're some fucking shit bum and you're talking shit, horrible. Then shut up. Like you're nobody.
I do hate how like those types of situations, how people don't look at the whole book and they judge somebody just based off of one reaction.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? You could have fucking 12 great things happen and then all of a sudden you have that one moment where maybe you lost your cool or you showed something and then all of a sudden everybody judges you for that one moment. And I think that's not fair.
You were talking about Hurley. Now, that game was last night. So I get up this morning. I'm on, and I see they must already asked him about the Kentucky job.
Yeah.
Like they just. I mean, he said no chance in hell or whatever.
Clickbait, man.
That's all it is. I mean, Jesus Christ.
These people get paid by it though, so you can't fault them.
Are you guys surprised by Calipari though?
No,
It's not like they
'cause
wanted to
sounded
kind
like
of push him out.
they had enough of him.
Yeah, and
losing.
I agree with that. But
And he heard the rumblings. And he had enough.
So you think really he sensed it, and he
Yes.
was getting another year though, because they met
Yep.
before and they were
Yep.
going to give him
Yeah.
the year. So,
And didn't he have like a $33 million buyout?
Yeah, the buyout's 33. Yeah. So Kentucky got off the hook, but who they going to get? I don't know.
you think
That's
they'll
a
pay?
fucking job, man.
They're gonna have to pay
That's a hell of a
somebody.
fucking
Yeah, I mean,
job.
but it hasn't. When's the last time they won anything? He won one time.
2012.
Yeah, he won one
2012.
time.
I'm
He had the
unfortunate-
undefeated team didn't win. Yeah, I mean,
they've fallen way short of
yeah,
expectations.
he should do
year
better.
After
He
year,
should do
'cause
better.
He's always
I
had
like
good
him as a
talent.
guy. I think he's a great recruiter. He's actually, if you talk to his, or I don't talk to, but I've seen talks with his ex-players of how much of a father figure he became for a lot of those guys that had no fathers. He's actually a pretty good dude. I know he may seem arrogant. He may seem like he's not that good of a basketball coach, but he really took some of these kids from really bad spots and helped them.
And
a
you
lot in
know,
life.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
If he but you set the basketball aside. If you can
Right,
impact
right.
somebody's life
He-
like
he-
that,
he has a
and I'm
lot.
sure all these coaches go into some of these kids' homes that are just they're just probably deplorable.
But a lot of them will lie right to the parents and not help the kid. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. So if you can impact them that way, and okay, so what? He didn't win the national championship or he didn't win the conference. Okay, but you know he's really molded these guys into, and they're going to be productive members of society and all that, and good adults. Okay, that's
Yeah.
part of it too.
Yeah.
So and I can appreciate
And a lot
that.
of guys go to the NBA.
I
They
can't-
do
oh,
okay.
No doubt.
Yeah, you look at those teams, how he didn't win, it's kind of crazy.
Ah,
But
just-
then again, you will say the teams that have more seniors than the upperclassmen, they seem to just do better in
They
these
do.
tournaments.
I
They
agree
really
with
do.
that.
The
No
young
doubt.
guys just aren't cut out mentally for this stuff. But
Well, I don't get TBS, so I didn't even get to
Right.
see the game, but I followed online. Was the game ever close? Because was it 6 points at half?
yeah, so the way I looked at it, it was like the last two games that they played. It's like the other team is playing their ass off, everything they're trying
to
to do
stay close.
just to keep the game tight. And then UConn's not playing well. They're turning it over, which they never do, and they still up by 6. It's like, yeah, this you knew it was gonna. So I somehow stayed awake till halftime, and I was like, there's no chance that Purdue's winning this game. And
Yeah.
Well, the big guy had 37. They must have shut everybody else down, huh?
yeah, the guards played bad, which
Really
you had to
bad.
figure that UConn had a major advantage with the guard play, and it showed. But
I tell you this much, I kind of busted Edie's balls a little bit on being soft and blah 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 this and that. I tell you what, he actually showed me some things last night.
I agree, Jeff.
I really do.
He's really transformed a lot in the last 2 years as a guy that just matured and has really gotten to be. Because a lot of times those guys, if you're 7'4", what else are you going to do? They're telling you got to play basketball. You're fucking gigantic. You got to play. You got to play. Well, he's actually turned himself into a hell of a good player.
And I tell you what, man, he don't come out of the game. I mean,
Every minute of every game
it's
almost.
unbelievable. So a dude that's 7'4", man, and last night's game, you could tell he's a little bit tired because they
Right.
were running last night, man.
Yep.
But he's still. I mean, I think they did take him out a little bit in the first half. It was. I think they made fun of it. I think they said he was out for 33 seconds,
I
something
saw
like that.
Yep.
But at the end, man, somebody that big, man, you got to think the toll that it's got to take on. If you're having a running game, man, that's a lot.
Is he a
Fuck.
senior?
Yeah.
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 I don't know what kind of NBA career he'll have.
See, I don't think there's probably not one, right?
Because he can't shoot at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it might have been Jim Rome today was talking about how the Minnesota Timberwolves have kind of gotten back to bigger lineups, and they're not.
Well, they have, but their guys.
But
can
I know
shoot.
they're not
Towns
playing
wants to
down
be a
on the
guard.
block like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But
Right.
yeah, but they do have bigger. I mean, I hope the guy does well.
I don't know how him or the Klingon guy from UConn will fare in the NBA.
That-
either,
was
'cause
that
he
number
can't shoot.
32?
Yeah, the big
Okay,
guy.
yeah.
He struggles like he can't move. He looks slow to me. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Who are we to judge?
Right.
The NBA
Right.
scouts will be all over the stuff. But,
Well, that's just
nobody,
why
nobody knocked on my door,
and-
unfortunately.
yeah.
So, fuck.
Because Matt, you referenced it earlier about enjoying the women's game, and I do.
it's a better game right now.
I think it is
Yeah.
just the way they
Less
play,
fouls, too.
and I don't miss watching a game without dunks.
No, me either.
Yeah.
I
Alley-oops and all that
appreciate it.
bullshit.
Just the way they move the ball and
Yes.
I think the coaching's better at the women's level too, because it's not just as simple as you go one-on-one. He's a better athlete than I am. I'm not going to stop him, or vice versa. And like that's what they do. It's so much ISO one-on-one. NBA games all pick and roll, pick and pop. That's all it is. It's trash. In the men's college game, too many fouls. Too many fouls. They call fouls. The officials are looking to get on TV,
Yep.
and I don't think the girls have that as
No,
bad. So.
I don't. And you know, and Caitlin Clark, the one thing, I mean, she, her choice of shots sometimes is questionable.
But on a team like
but
that,
I
don't have
know.
all their
But,
options.
but my point is, she she has the ball a lot in her hands, but she does distribute it, and she can
great
pass
passer.
the
She's
ball.
a great passer. Fantastic court vision.
Right, but I don't have a problem with her taking a 37-footer because she's Caitlin fucking Clark,
Right.
Yeah.
and she's making a lot of them. But she can pass the ball.
Luke's always had me watching Notre Dame girls basketball, and they've always been, obviously probably the last 10 years pretty solid to watch. But so this is probably my most women's basketball in general that I've watched this year. I never realized probably because I didn't watch it, but the amount of jump balls.
Yeah.
And women's basketball compared to men's.
Right.
And I guess I don't understand it.
Yeah, I that's a good question, and I'm not sure. I
Probably
do
just
either.
being
Is that the
Yeah.
call? Is that the end all be all call by a referee in women's basketball? I guess
So you're just saying you're just
In
noticing
general,
more tie-ups and more.
more jump balls.
I would say most likely, in my opinion, if a girl gets trapped in the corner, she's probably going to get a jump ball or a foul. Where if a guy gets trapped in the corner, he can elevate, jump, and make passes that the girls can't do.
sense.
But again, that body difference. They'll tell you that doesn't matter, but it does matter. Like men, like I'm able to elevate up in the air. I'm not even a good athlete, but I'm an average enough athlete that if I'm getting trapped by girls, I can get out of a corner. Whereas girls on girl are not gonna girl on girl. There you go. That might be something that no wonder everybody likes
Don't
it.
put that on the search bar.
Talk about hey, here comes the change of pace for the Pondering podcast.
Girl on girl jumping for balls.
There we go.
gotta
Chris,
be.
did you think the same thing?
Oh yeah,
It's always been a criticism.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of criticism on girls basketball is they miss too many layups and there's a lot of jump balls.
Well, and I mean, I see it on high school level when obviously the talent isn't as great, but especially you see it a lot on teams that don't have a lot of talent. And those girls just dribble into the corner,
Right.
And they don't know what.
And they don't know what they're doing. They just,
No.
want to stay out of the corner,
Right,
especially if you
right.
suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's an extra defender you
right.
gotta
So
worry about.
but I agree with you though, and I think it is a lot of it has to do with the athleticism. So
It does
you don't
make
see
sense,
that
and I
though.
guess I never really thought about it.
Played at a high level though, where that NCAA tournament now for the girls is getting so much better. Where you actually have more spread out balance of power. Obviously, South Carolina the favorites, but you're getting more teams that are competitive, which is good to see. Several years ago you had 2 or 3 that could win, and now you got maybe 8 that each year that maybe could win, and so that's a good thing that the game is getting better. But I don't know. A lot of people still won't ever like it, and I
Irish
give it a
would-
chance.
The Irish were without their best player this year.
Nah, I know
fucking
that.
Watch out
that
next
hurt
year.
me.
Let's go.
Yeah, no.
That would have made a big difference. I'm not saying we.
Well, and
won.
then your other girl had to take her nose ring
Take
out
her
for an
nose
hour
ring
and a
out.
half.
Yeah, that's
That
right.
It's just
Yeah,
fucking
nuts.
bullshit. But
That was crazy.
That
Played
was
with it all year long, year long, and then all of a
that
sudden,
was
to happen,
ridiculous. They got
Wait,
pliers on over there.
What this one or the
Yeah,
one
the-
here?
One on the outside,
on
the
the
stud,
outside,
like
yeah.
on the stud.
played all year long
Just
with it.
couldn't get it out.
And she had to take it out.
Yeah,
when?
in the middle of the game. Wasn't before the game. It's in the middle of the
And
game.
in the
she-
tournament.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they lost the
It's
game.
the game they lost the game.
Was it
And-
Oregon State?
Yeah, Oregon State, and literally she was out for probably 5 or 6 minutes.
The trainer's like working on a motherfucker
Couldn't get
trying
it
to
out.
get it out. And can't
Luke
get
said
it.
she's she's definitely the real deal for a freshman
Oh, yeah, she's
too.
really good.
But Luke says she's one of those players that hands down that she can be streaky, but when she gets hot, she's hot, and she was in that moment of hot. And then unfortunately they
Ruined the whole
So
game.
why
away.
the fuck you wearing the fucking thing?
Well, I
Oh,
guess
they were
and
allowed
you're
to
not
wear it.
wrong.
Yeah.
You're not
Right.
wrong. But at the end of the day, she wore it the whole year.
So they should just
make.
make the rule the same.
Well,
Like,
let me ask
take
you.
it
Maybe
out.
you would know. And I see this sometimes in high school. I don't know if it's like this in college. Like a girl will have an earring at the top of her ear, or where even if her just regular her ear is regularly pierced, and instead of taking it out, they have tape over it.
Yeah, well, they told her
Why-
originally
why
to put
don't,
tape.
Why do they instead of taking it out? Why don't they?
They're trying to say it's player safety,
Yeah.
where
Well,
you don't
no,
get cut on it.
no, I understand.
So
I
I
think
foul
it's
you,
more
hit you
that.
in the face, and get cut.
Right, because
And-
I know you have that stud that sticks out.
Yeah, so the tape is supposed to
Yeah.
alleviate that.
But I think they should just say no jewelry.
Well, they should.
No jewelry,
They should.
period.
But the NCAA is a gutless operation. They're never going to do
Oh,
that.
they're the worst.
Yeah. So take some lessons from the NAIA. And yeah, the NCAA is a
We go
travesty.
Yeah,
you guys
really
got,
is.
you guys making me feel really bad today. You got a cue card over there? You
Oh,
got
I
some
just,
shit?
because
I-
on the right.
well, usually when
Raw
I,
dog.
when I don't have to host the show, it's a lot easier. You just come and you give your opinions. But like if you're doing it, you just want to at least have a few
I
things
love
that
it,
you,
though. That's good shit.
you
That's good.
remembered. Because I mean, you remember I used to we used to have the rundowns of the whole thing, and then we kind of got away from that. The hot pit cold mug. Does anybody have those? We could go revisit that. Chris, I know you wanted to talk about Planet Fitness a few years ago, but you never got. That's on the back to the transgender.
Did you guys see the story about the lady in Fairbanks, Alaska?
Have not.
It is fair because the reason it caught my attention, there was a headline that said like their Planet Fitness stock plummeted and their value
Yes.
went way down. So what had happened was there was a lady that went into the women's restroom or locker room, and there was a guy in there shaving. Now he was fully dressed. This lady.
And he wasn't a guy pretending to be a woman, though, was he?
No, well, he said he was in the transitioning phase.
Oh, because he looked
was
like a regular guy.
Yeah, but no, he was in the
Might have to try
process.
that.
But he had pants on, and there was a 12-year-old girl in there dressed just wrapped in a towel, and she's petrified. Now this other lady, it wasn't her mother. She took a picture of that guy and came out, and bitched to management. Well, they end up revoking her membership for life.
For life.
Yeah,
she's the one that got banned.
Yeah, so she's banned.
It's fucking incredible.
And
That's why their stock
Holy
plummeted.
Yeah, you know what?
yeah.
Fuck around and find out once
Yeah,
again.
he
Yeah.
said he was queer and he was transition. He's part of the he just said LGB. But this is the fucked up part, and the whole one of the most fucked up things is it says they have a judgment-free zone in Planet Fitness, so you can't judge anybody, and they have a policy, obviously, that I guess you're not allowed to take photos of anybody. But so that's what they're
That was
saying.
the spin.
Yes, yeah. But anyway, so they have a gender identity non-discrimination policy, and now this is the other part. Like, so members and guests may use the facilities that best align with their sincere, self-reported
That's just
gender
absurd.
identity. So one day you just feel like, I'm going to go in there. I want to get I want to go see some naked girls. I'm going to claim that I'm a woman because that's your sincere, self-reported gender identity. Like is there a guy there you're a guy or woman?
Cup check.
Yeah.
Cup check.
If
Cup
you
check,
got
let's go.
a penis or a vagina. But anyway, they ended up having did you see that they had they assigned a chaperone to this person, some lady that goes into the locker room with this queer guy. She's a chaperone. So the lady that got banned, her friend's still a member there, and she was in the locker room one time with this guy was in there with the chaperone, and the lady said, "You need to get him out of here." And the lady chaperone said, "Well, if you feel uncomfortable, you better go use the stall." So, I mean, this world's fucking gone mad. It's going fucking absolutely mad.
So you got paying customers now, their lives being ruined, little girls getting in dangerous situations. How do we it's coming. It's probably already happened. Mm-hmm. There's going to be guys that are start to impersonate, and then they're going to be child abductors, and they're going to start taking girls from the girls' locker room and pretending to be a woman. It's happened. It's
already
definitely happening. And here we are as adults and people in leadership and owners of these businesses who have they have a responsibility to have a safe environment for their people, and you put children at risk. That's the even worse part about it. It's one thing if it's just other women getting upset, but when you got little girls in there,
but it seems like we're even.
Can you imagine as a father, what would you be like? I'd want to kill the person. I have a hard time not killing him.
Mm-hmm.
I still think one thing, and once again, I'm going to preface it again because at the end of the day, whatever you choose to be, good for you. But I don't understand why we are completely changing the masses for. It's not even the 1%.
Right.
It's not even 1%. No. It's got to be 0.00 whatever, and we're making mass changes for. I don't understand. That's the part that I guess
it's like the smallest group getting the loudest voice.
Gets the loudest voice, and I don't understand it. And I understand that they're going to say, well, it's been numerous years where it's always been whatever the minority voices, and I get all that, but I don't know, man. I don't know. You're right.
And it seems like they're getting away even more worried. They don't care about protecting kids.
They don't care. Well, obviously, look at it. Look at Hollywood. Look at the sex trafficking that goes on to these rich people. Mm-hmm. And the people don't want to name names. That's why it never even gets talked about on the news. They don't even talk about it. It's never talked about. P. Diddy and Epstein Island. Are you back, Jeff?
I think I am.
Try now.
Hello.
There you go.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're good. But yeah, Chris, it's awful. And you know what? In my opinion, if they're going to have to do this and they're going to continue to have just massive amounts of these people transitioning or whatever, they need to start these businesses need to start making trans dressing. Like all of them go together in their own spot. You shouldn't. Nobody wants to segregate. You know how big of a deal that was. You had different water fountains and different bathrooms and stuff. Well, maybe you don't have to do that, but you should be doing it for this because you're changing your fucking sex. You can't change the color of your skin. That's pretty tricky. But these people are now changing their sex voluntarily for whatever reason. That's their business. I don't give a shit. But now when you're impacting my family and my friends and people that I care about, that's where it really bothers me. And these businesses have a right to do that. I will never step foot in the Planet Fitness.
No,
I hope
never.
they burn to the ground. I hope they have to close. I hope they file bankruptcy, and then then there'll be a much more fat people on the planet, I guess. But fuck Planet Fitness.
Can you imagine?
Oh, you're off again.
Thank you.
Can you imagine though? We all love money. And matter of fact, I'm man enough to admit if I could fuck money, I'd fuck money. Because
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
at the end of
yeah.
the right, and I
Fuck
do,
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
And I'm not a money grubber, but at the end of the day, I like money. But I would never like let my morals and values get ahead of me when it came to money either. But can you imagine some of these fucks? And granted, I think there's gonna be so much shit coming out right now. Can you imagine you knew that you were profiting off of some like 8 or 9 year old girl that literally was having to have sex 15, 20 times a day? Like, can you imagine like how much of a fucking horrible person?
Just evil.
You're truly evil.
Yeah,
like,
you're really. There's a different type of evil. There's evil, and then there's that. Like that's as bad as it gets. Human trafficking is now becoming the biggest business in the entire world,
which is absurd to me, man.
And,
It's just
and
absurd
it's
to me.
like to me, I do think there's a distinction between the people that are trafficked versus people that are, sex workers and things of that nature who are forced into doing things they don't want to do, which they should never be. But when you're entering into that line of business, I'm not going to say you're asking for it because that of course is frowned upon, but you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation. The people that I feel the worst for, and they don't really separate. So if you're a sex worker and you're going to Epstein Island to do this, and then Bill Clinton and somebody else come in there and they want a fucking tug job from you, well, like you went there for money, so you opened the door for this. I'm not saying that you didn't get abused. I totally think you shouldn't have had to do anything you didn't want to do. But it's a lot different to me than these girls from other countries or even girls that are in this country. They're being kidnapped, underage, put in these situations where they have absolutely no desire to do this. They're not making any money. Their entire lives have now become, their life is, they don't even know their life. They don't know who their parents are. They don't know where they live. They're being trafficked. To me, there's a distinction there. And they're kind of trying to lump it all together like it's the same thing. Like, to me, it's a little bit different.
It's a lot
so sex
different.
trafficking to me is these people totally unwilling to be in this, whether they're underage or whether they're taken from their country. They're transported in these vans. I mean, if you watch some shows on it, it is sick. It is fucking sick how much money people will pay for these 12-year-old girl. Just buy her online, black market. Never going to get back to fucking whatever country she's from in Eastern Europe. She'll never go back. She'll never find her family again. She'll probably end up dead.
Yeah.
It's-
Probably did on drugs, and it's terrible.
It is terrible, 100%.
Biggest business in the world.
What do you guys think if you were going to break down percentage, and I'm going to bucket in, I'm not going to define underground,
Right?
but what would you say percentage in our country of underground? And I'll just give you some examples: child sex,
Yes.
drugs, mafia,
Gambling.
Just D. You could think about the bad things of the world. What would you throw a percentage as in? I don't even know what I'm trying to ask, I guess. But like, where would you throw the underground world that truly the common folk like us,
how much underground is
fucking
actually
clue,
existing
that's
that we would
yes.
never have access to without.
Probably higher than we would think, right?
I would think.
Ah,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, because I never realized till this all came about. Maybe around, maybe prior to the Epstein Island thing, but how big sex trafficking was. And obviously you hear about pedophilia all the time, but as far as the selling and these girls and basically harvesting from other countries and had the black
The
market,
scams they run?
yes,
Girls coming here to get jobs or modeling agents or school, and they get taken. They never even make it to where they're going.
I was totally blown away by how prevalent that is. I did not know that. Sick.
So sorry, fellas. I need
No,
to
you're
be fucking
good.
with this shit. But it's absolutely scary. And at the end of the day, like you think about it, can't even fathom it. Can't even fucking fathom it.
No.
And there's no accountability for these people. And obviously, to be able to deal in those, you're either making money or you have a lot of money, so you're spending it. So there's no cheap way to get involved in the human trafficking stuff or the sex trafficking. There's no cheap way. So either I'm the guy who's out there recruiting them, stealing the girls, getting them ready to go to sell to whoever, and I'm going to make money, but you're giving them to someone who has a lot of money. So it insulates the regular. Like there's no 7-Eleven version of this, like, or discount. Like there's no Dollar General version of human trafficking. Like this is all high end. So that's telling you the kind of people that are involved in this are very, very powerful, influential people. And then there's the underbelly people that are making the buck off of this and being able to make this stuff happen. Probably for another rich person on the very other end who's their boss. But it's sick. Nothing ever happens. These Epstein people, how many powerful figures are going to get named that were on that island? I mean, there's on both sides of the aisle here. And then there's other people that are going on there telling you like Harvey Weinstein's a great guy, and then here he goes, he's in trouble. And it's just, there is a sick social class that we have of elitists in this world and our country that there's no checks and balances for them.
How can we live in the United States and fucking America and we don't have that list? I know they've released a few names, but
because they don't want to, Jeff. They know it will be. It's just like the Kennedy files. They don't want people to know what really happened. They're terrified of what people will do, and people will revolt because that's what will really happen. And that will be the fall of the government.
Are we ever going to get the satisfaction of seeing a handful of like a freak idiot like Tom Hanks or Bill Clinton or any of these guys?
No, they'll never face. If that's me trying to do that, I'm gone. I'm already in prison. I'm probably dead already, which deservingly so. I would deserve every second of it. But these people are insulated. I mean, you can't tell me that. And again, pick your side of the aisle because there's massive corruption on both sides, and that's where I agreed totally with what Jeff was saying. Is you got to be aware, like you're not going to be so far to one side or the other. Like there's certain spots where I lean more to the left than normally you would think or whatever. But I'm never going on the massive extreme where I can't come to the middle ground and realize, okay, I maybe agree with this guy on one thing, but he's a bad guy or whatever. Like you got to be able to see through that stuff. But you can't tell me people like the Clintons who are connected to so much corruption in their lives, whether it's they're stealing with the Haiti, whether it's Bill's sexual escapades, whether it's do you guys think it's possible that 56 people that you were friends with or connected to are all committed suicide? Is that even fucking possible?
No.
It's impossible.
Right.
They're having people killed. Everybody knows that. You got to be stupid not to. But like nothing will ever happen to them.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy that nothing will ever happen.
And that's
in the United
States
of America. And actually, back to that point, I'll throw my own family underneath the bus. Obviously, filled with some good people, but I have some people that's not from this area, that's from the Pittsburgh neck of the woods, family-wise, that are pretty far right. And I'll be honest, we were having a Christmas conversation this past Christmas, and I was trying to explain exactly that. And hey, you know what? Obviously, I'm more right side than I am anything, but at the end of the day, I'll never be so far right, nor do I ever understand the far left. And they looked at me like I had a third eye in the middle of my head. And because they could not, because I don't know if I had too many drinks and I couldn't explain myself well enough or like it just wasn't protruding. I don't know what the problem was, but I'm voting that I walked away from that conversation. We were driving home. The wifey drove home, just to make clear of that, be safe. She goes, you know why you kept on trying to explain yourself and they weren't understanding because they are those fucking people.
Yeah. No,
so
you're right.
they can't see.
They didn't want to understand. Right?
They didn't want to understand. They are, unfortunate. And here's the deal. They're not
how many of them there are.
They're not the people that are fucking running on the Capitol thing. But they're just very pro-right, and they're probably a little too extreme, even for my blood. But when you're sitting there trying to have a normal conversation with someone, you're trying to explain, sometimes, I can see, like you said, there's some things that I can lean a little left on, but hands down, I'm more right. But they were like, I don't understand what you're talking about. And like, you're those people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's a problem. I've been in situations, and it takes a lot for me to feel uncomfortable. And I'm not going to say I've ever felt like super, super uncomfortable. But I know, Chris, you probably have been in, like, there's some times where I'll get with people at the club and they'll say things to me that are like almost too extreme for me. Like, and I'm like, and I'm like, I'm glad this is happening in here and not like anywhere else, because it does make you say, like, my God, are you are you that misinformed,
Yeah,
or like
that's-
where
yeah.
does your bigotry come? Like I can be as hateful as anybody or vengeful or whatever you want to call it, but I try to evaluate every situation differently, and you can't just predetermine or pre-label somebody. Like there's certain times where like, okay, this guy's a Democratic politician. It doesn't mean most of them are scumbags, but it doesn't mean there's not one decent one out there. Like, you don't have to hate everybody equally. You got to evaluate. You got to use your brain. You have to be able to educate yourself enough to just not be so like, oh, I'm so this way or that way. It's a dangerous thing, and it's not going to be healthy for our world, our country, and for the future generations. You gotta think on your feet, and you got to be able to just evaluate and make your own decisions. Don't listen to what other people tell you, because that usually doesn't work very well.
Use your brain. The
We
fuck's
have
that?
those?
What the fuck is that, man? God, I'll be honest with you, that's just ridiculous. Use your brain. God.
Speaking of using your brain, how about Jarrett's boy Morgan Wallen tossing furniture off of a
I just saw that before I came
fuck
down
is that?
here. What was he
Nashville
doing?
or bar or something? But he did what Antonio Brown got, and then rightfully so. He's throwing porch or furniture off down by a pool, almost killed a couple kids.
Was he just all
I'm assuming.
drunk?
Sunday night, 10:35 in Nashville. I would imagine he had a hell of a buzz going on. But I just think at the end of the day, and I'll be honest with you, I've made fuck up every day once again, but I cannot imagine being in that platform and doing something that dumb. That God forbid a chair kills
What's it kill somebody? And your life's over.
Life is over.
Well, his
Well, maybe.
wouldn't be.
Maybe.
Well, you're probably right,
Ours
Chris.
would.
He
Ours
get a
would
second
be.
chance,
No,
probably.
these and that's again, that's when you were just talking about celebrities never getting in trouble, and these people that I don't get it. I never will. The infatuation with celebrities.
I don't get it either,
And,
Chris.
and
I
so,
don't.
so like if they did call out somebody in Hollywood, they would go nuts, because,
Right.
like you said, because no, that's my hero, or I love that girl or that guy, he's the greatest, and they fawn over
It's a
these people.
protected class.
Yeah, so so Morgan Wallen, he'd get a slap on the wrist no matter what he did. He could throw.
So you probably get like at least manslaughter if you killed somebody. Any of us would. He'd probably get off with probation.
Misdemeanor or something, yeah,
time
misdemeanor.
served.
Yeah, yeah. Fuck those guys. Fuck that guy
100%.
too.
Did you guys ever see the movie Bronx Tale? It'll be relevant
Yeah.
to what I'm about to say.
No.
It's a great mob movie. If you haven't
Yeah, I've
seen
seen
it,
it.
it's
I
a
gotta
great
go.
fucking
Yeah.
flick. But in one of it, the little boy Colangelo is talking about he's crying because Mickey Mantle, they lost a game. And the
Right.
big mob guy's like, couldn't understand why he was so upset. He's like, Mickey Mantle ever pay for your dinner? Mickey Mantle, does he pay for your rent? Like, don't be upset that Mickey Mantle, blah, blah, this and that. And we've talked about this on this show. Like, people, there's truly nobody that I would ever be starstruck. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's not that I wouldn't want to meet somebody, but
You're
for
right.
me to go up and show another human being that I'm fucking googly-eyed over, would be like a letdown in my eyes.
Do you think that goes to just people's own inner workings, like
I
their
think
self-esteem?
so.
They're
Without
like,
a doubt.
yeah.
Like you see these concerts, and I'll do to the Swifties, and it's not even just the Swifties. There's just so many people that will be sitting there fucking bawling.
crying.
Yeah.
It's like they worship the
Yeah.
entertainer.
That's I don't
That's
know.
not.
man.
That's dangerous, man.
That's not in my wheelhouse.
What about
Fuck
the
them.
guys that knock the kids out of the way to get the autographs?
Well,
The
that
grown
too,
guys.
that-
No, I agree with you, Jeff. Like there's a different between respect and then just like going overboard with somebody. But I would never ever feel that way either. Like they're just regular people, and you should treat them like that. But I'm
That's
sure
the
that's how
problem.
they would want to be treated too. But
Normalize it, right?
our society's so fucking messed up. Do you guys have any before we get ready to wrap up? Do you guys have any confidence in like our judicial system anymore, or government? I mean, I was thinking about that today. Like, where can you have any confidence? Do you ever feel like people are being honest with you at the top? Because I don't. Whether it's the vaccine pushing or whatever else, I mean, just the government's a disaster, and then the legal system. If we were just saying, if you got money, you get out. If you don't have money, you go behind bars, or you're a target of whatever, police brutality or whatever. It's really concerning. It really makes me not want to fuck up enough where I'd ever have to be involved with any of that stuff.
To answer your question, Matt, no, unfortunately. And I try to stay a pretty positive cat, but I just don't see an end in sight. The cliche of money is the root of all evil, it lives out to be the truth every goddamn day. As much as I
Every
got
day.
done saying that I love money, but I still wouldn't let me drive decisions or to
Right, it's-
step over somebody to get the
Right,
money
right,
or
right.
whatever the case might be.
No.
None of that. I really wish, and this is rainbows and butterflies, and I know it's never going to fucking happen. It would be really cool for the the Chris Pavliks of the world to run for office. We can relate. As much as I love a fucking Jim Justice and he fucking makes me laugh, and a lot of people say he's just a dumb fucking hick. Well, here's the deal. You're not a fucking billionaire if you're a dumb fucking hick. Obviously, he's got to have some scruples.
Pay his taxes better.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I can't relate to Jim Justice.
Right.
I can't. At the end of the day, right? So there is more of us that are more the, and I don't even want to say class, but we'll just throw out the middle class America that work hard every day, put in their time, collect a paycheck every 2 weeks. It'd be really cool to have some of those people representing us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what life would, that would be. And then I think we would maybe have get back to
that's
some
part
faith
of the
and
reason.
stuff like that.
Part of the reason Trump won the first time was because of that. He related. I know it's impossible to think that you could relate to a billionaire can relate to you, but he did. He hit a lot of people's right in the heart and right in their minds, and he opened up something that they never seen before, an anti-politician. So those people are out there.
Yeah.
Just got to find them.
And he scared the hell out of those people.
He still is.
Yeah. He's still in their heads, man. That was fucking 20,
Yeah, this is going to be a hell of a few months here.
But they're going to have to take away the financial end of that, right? They're going to have to take where it costs so much money to run. You have to be able to get your share of voice. It costs money. Obviously, I can imagine like some of these local guys that are even doing like whether it be the mayor run or whatever. I'd like to know, like, how much money are they fucking putting out of their own pockets to try to win a city election?
Like your buddy that was on our show, Paul.
Paul. I don't know if Paul has much of an internet platform, but that's really important nowadays. Obviously, that propaganda and both sides. It's amazing how both sides will blame like the propaganda networks of the other one for like influencing the election, like they did. It's amazing how much blame out there goes around. These social media companies. You talk about another evil sector on our planet. I will say one thing. I got to give Elon Musk. The guy's a brilliant guy, and some of the things that he's done and said recently, and when he's changed Twitter to X or whatever, is kind of refreshing because he's realizing there's a problem out there. So that's good because those other guys, Zuckerberg and some of them, man, they look like just.
Poor Elon's gonna end up fucking dead though. That's gonna be the problem. You're gonna have some. Honestly, they're just gonna eliminate this.
Yeah,
cat
you're
too.
right. You're right.
It does take a lot of balls, and I'll be honest. I know there's a lot of underground people talk about like people will try to knock off Trump. I'm surprised that fucking hasn't happened. At the end of the day, there's so many because obviously like he's so anti-establishment, and those people just don't make it in the world anymore. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek, but I mean it is sad. But they just eliminate them.
Some couple people, some of these political shows that I'll watch that aren't like mainstream ones, but they talk about how important it is for the other side to have that villain. So that's part of the reason why no one will kill him. I mean, you're still going to have some extremists that could, so I'm with you there. But like, there's no coordinated effort because deep down, all those people on the other side of the aisle, they love having him as a target to shoot at because they think it's helping their campaign, it's helping drive their message. He's the Antichrist, he's Hitler, he's this, he's that. So they have that to fixate on. But you're right, you can't escape those alt-left and alt-right people that would do that. I'm surprised President Obama survived, to be honest.
I'll be honest, and I agree with that. And it's sad to say that, but I don't disagree.
Yeah, I thought one of those radical right-wing groups would kill him for sure, but
it's unbelievable.
I don't know if I'd even shed a tear, but obviously not wishing for anybody's death, but that guy's a piece of shit, and he destroyed this country. Mark it down. He did more damage to this country, and the great unifier he was not, that's for sure. But fellas, do you want to hit on anything else before we wrap up?
Anything good on there? Are we good?
I was just going to go through and just talk a couple of things. North Atlantic Beer Mile, May 4th. Don't forget that. You can sign up right now online, waterfronthall.com/fest. We're going to have live bands, vendors all day. Kentucky Derby watch party follows. That is May 4th down at Waterfront Fest down at Waterfront Hall. Going to be a good one. The guys, again, are Ignite West Virginia, Bridging Innovation Week.
Let's go.
We'll keep you posted on that one. You can check us out on the Watchdog on Friday. Friday's show will probably have some. Well, hopefully I'm not the only ones that's alive. The Delborg household hopefully is functioning. We have a positive outcome of everything, and everybody's in good spirits. So tune in for that one. Nailers are back home this weekend for a couple of games as they finish out the regular season. Hopefully they can get a couple wins, get into playoffs, and hopefully we'll be down there checking those out. Let's see, what else? Oh, thanks to IC Cav sponsoring the show. Zambito Flooring America, amazing sponsor. And real quick before we go, Four Seasons Simulated Golf and Bar. Thanks again to Ricky for hosting us last Thursday. It was an awesome time. I was the commentator. Real quick thoughts on that. It was an awesome venue, great setting, but the golf wasn't what I expected.
So much fun. But man, when you're fucking bad, it just makes golf fucking miserable, and I am bad. God, I'm so bad.
Thanks to Ricky. I think he picked up our bar tab. And
Tim Roberts was very gracious.
There,
Good to see him.
Atmosphere, people, drink,
Former
all
Thunderbird,
phenomenal.
right?
The golf was great. Mine is just being horrible at golf.
It's all right.
None of us
We'll
really
get better. So be sure and check it out. 4 Seasons Simulated Golf and Bar up at the Highlands, right by Nini's Treasure there, right off the side of the One Hotel. It's a really good experience if you like golf. If you're just getting into golf, I advise you to check it out. Thanks again to Ricky and Zambito Flooring America, IC Cab, Jill's Gentlemen's Club, Gumby's, Figueretti's, Generations. Congratulations to Monroe Central, who won Lunch Madness. Coach and Jubb will be out there, I believe, Monday. Presenting them with their prize, the PlayStation 5 winner, the TV, all that cool stuff. So if you need to catch up on anything Pine Room Studios related, check us out on YouTube, on social media. Everywhere else you can basically think of, we're all over the platforms out there. So at the Pine Room Studios, we got our website that Timo did. Is it The Pine Room or PineRoomStudios.com? Yeah, I meant to write that down. I forgot to. So, but check that out. That's new and improved. We got all of our bios on there. If you want to read a little bit more about the cast of characters here, we all have bios on there. Timo, our boy Todd Morrison, did a wonderful job there, and thanks to him and Jubb for getting them all the materials. And all right, guys, I think that'll do it for us this week. Episode 105. Many of the boys will be back next week, and we'll see what happens. We got lots happening here in the Pioneer, so keep your eyes open for us as the summer progresses. Good?
Good afternoon.
I'm good. Good night.
All right, that'll do it for us here.
Thanks.
Jubb will be back in the chair next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week in the Pine Room.
Peace.